All right, so here is the sixth tip that you want to apply if you want to get the most out of this upcoming quarter. And I do have to say, this one seems so simple and it's such a duh, but it is probably one of the hardest because these little boxes I'm going to talk about are created to become such a distraction. We can justify the distractions. We have all sorts of excuses. And so we really do have to just be very real with ourselves, really diligent and honest with what is going on before we're willing to take the steps that's needed. And you may have already guessed, since we've covered email as a distraction, that the one I'm talking about today is your phone. So there's a couple things that I think are really important for a person to internalize. And one of them is that on average, there's two studies that came out. The low end, a adult person is on their phone 4 hours and 20 minutes is the low end, but a second study came out and said it could be closer to 5 hours and 40 minutes. So almost 6 hours on a daily basis on their phone. Now, the great thing is that obviously a lot of that is business, right? And this means not like speaking on your phone, but utilizing your phone. So I use my phone all the time, just like I'm sure you use your phone all the time for sending a business email when I'm, out and about. I'm using my phone right now as I'm recording this, and I'm traveling in between appointments, right? So, we could call that net time if I'm sending an email while standing in a shopping line, waiting for my turn to be assisted. But the reality is, we pick up our phones on average 144 times a day. We check our phones on average 144 times a day as adults. And probably the bigger thing is while we can look at those numbers and say, oh, well, of course I do, because I need my phone. I check it constantly. I'm using it for business. And those things are true. They certainly are true for me. I know they're true for you. They're definitely true for my clients. The question is, how much cognitive space and energy, it's cognitive drain, takes place when you're not utilizing your phone, when you're not actually using it the way that the tool is meant to be used to be helpful, not distractive, right? It takes us about 23 minutes. You may have heard me talk about this before. On average, when we task switch to mentally get back to the state where we're ready to then work on that project we switched from. And it's been shown, there was research at University of Texas in Austin, and there's been other studies too. This is just the one I remember off the top of my head, where people who had their phones just in the room. So there was notifications were turned off. There was no distractive noises. The phone was just on the desk, turned upside down, so they couldn't see anything on the screen. They didn't see like a notification pop up, a light flash, anything like that. No distractions from the phone itself, but the phone being in the room with them was a significant drain on their cognitive energy and the amount that they were able to get done compared to when the phone was actually removed from the room. And when the phone was removed from the room, they were able to get significant amounts of work done, because the cognitive drain of having their phone near them, even though there was no notifications and nothing going on the phone that would actually distract them, the presence of the phone in the room itself was a drain on their cognitive ability and on their ability to stay focused. And so I bring this up because I think a lot of times we think, oh, I'm not distracted by my phone, or, oh, I need it handy so that I can do X, Y, and Z, or I need to be able to check this, or I need to be, available at all times. And so it's handy to grab, or I like to have my phone there because then I can quickly check this without having to open up my computer, which, can be very valid. But we don't realize that if on average an adult is checking their phone 144 times, if on average, just the low average, we're on our phone over 4 hours a day. If we know, research has shown in multiple studies, not just the one I mentioned from the University of Texas in Austin, that there's cognitive drain. But one of the best ways we could get ourselves into deeper focus, and deeper focus is what's going to make the difference in your ability to perform in this quarter, and your ability to outshine your competition, and your ability to prove yourself to, in a very, very competitive market, that you're the person who needs to be kept on, or you're the person who deserves a promotion, or you're the company that deserves that new big client deal to be landed. That threshold of your value is going to be passed simply because of your ability to efficiently deliver on very high project productivity, creative driven projects, and your ability to sit in deep work and get a lot done in a short period of time because you're not distracted is going to be one of the number one things that proves you to the marketplace. And so I say all that because I know the phone is one of the hardest things for people to get rid of. And I want you to understand the huge impact it will have on you. It's enormous. So there's a couple things that I have my clients do. I do these myself as well. Number one, if it is a deep work session, and we're going to talk about time blocking as one of these tips as well. But if this is a deep work session, if this is a flow block that you're creating, like what we talked about on day 2, you are not going to have your phone in the room. You are going to have it outside of the room. If you need a timer, you're going to use a timer that is not on your phone. Use the timer on your computer. Get an actual egg timer. Get a little, there's multiple types of timers you can get that this is just what I'm going to have available when I don't want my phone around. Turn off all notifications on your phone. I do this for everything. If you try to call me, I will not hear it. If you try to text me, I will never hear it unless I go look, because I have certain times of the day that I will pick up my phone and check my messages. And the people who must get a hold of me in case of an emergency know how to get through that notification, and nobody else does. So that means I can have my phone turned off, my ringer and my notifications turned off, and my children and my spouse, of course, and particular people in my life who I know they understand what a true emergency is and how to get through that block. They'll send a normal text, a normal phone call, a normal voicemail, a normal email, if it's just something I need to get to when it's not my focused block time. But if it is a true emergency, they know all they need to do is this thing, and it will push it through and overcome me not getting notifications, me not knowing that there's a phone call coming through. And so all you have to do is go into your phone and set that up for yourself, and then let those important people who will honor and respect your, differentiation of what is a true emergency and what is not, and let them know this is how you can get through to me. And that will give you the peace of mind that, oh my gosh, but I'll have emergencies, and what will I do? Well, that's what you'll do. Because quite frankly, most other things, even if they seem like an emergency, are not an actual need to be done right now an emergency. They might be an emergency that could be handled in 3 hours. And it does not mean that you need to break your ability to sit in a state of flow and get really great high level of productivity done in an hour and a half because somebody's emergency came up and it's distracting you. So number one, set up your phone to where you have no ability to have notifications come through except for those that you're choosing, at least for those blocks of time. I personally have it set up for my entire day, at least for those blocks of time. Have your phone completely out of the room when you've designated this is a time that this is my flow block. This is when I'm going to be getting into deep work, high levels of productivity. I can't have anything distracting me because a distraction will pull you out of flow. And then also be sure that if you turn off, there's a couple other really great tips, but just a couple I'll tell you, just to make your phone a little less distractive. Turning off so that you have a dark screen is super helpful. So not having the white background, not having a bunch of color, but also clearing your home screen and putting it into little files. So like all of my Google stuff goes into a file. So I just open up that file on my screen, and then there's all the little widgets to get to it. All of my client stuff, same thing, in a folder on my phone, and then I open it up. All those little widgets there are distractive as well. And so when you pick up your phone to check it for something legitimate, and you see, oh, my LinkedIn widget shows that I have one notification, which I turn off those notification bubbles so I never see it anyways. That's the other tip. But if all of those social media apps, their widgets are in one folder, then I don't see them. I literally would have to open up the folder. The other thing I would suggest is that you get a blocker on your phone. And you set up anything that you recognize as a distraction to you to be blocked by that. You can dictate what times it's available or how long you're on it. You're the adult. You get to pick what you want to allow. And obviously you can always expand that. It's not like, you're a child and you have no access to be able to change that. But if you do that, it gives that stumbling block to fall into the temptation or just the habit, the habitual. When I open up my phone, I check on what's new on YouTube. When I open my phone, I go directly to LinkedIn because it's ingrained. Well, if you have a block on your phone so that you can only check LinkedIn at these times of day or for this amount of time or both, like my filter is set up both ways, then when I open up my phone and I try to go to LinkedIn, the blocker's like, this is blocked. This is outside your timeline. And if it's an emergency, I can open that up for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever given set time I'm allowing myself to do that. But without that, I am keeping myself in check because instead of the habitual, I open it up and I didn't realize now I've been on there for 15 minutes and wasted a whole bunch of time. Instead, it checks me before I dive into it. So that would be my last tip. But my biggest one is make sure all your notifications are turned off and your phone is out of the room when you are in a work block where you want to get deep work done. That is the bare minimum I would suggest. And if you do that alone, if you do that in and of itself, that will be hugely helpful. And I think it will be a catalyst for you to want to do the other things if you're feeling a little resistance to them. I know those phones can be one of the hardest things. They are created to be that way, right? We know that, they have been shown to be and exposed to be and have even admitted to be created for that high level of addiction because of the dopamine that it gives us when we're using them. But I'm just telling you, if you are serious about making Q3 your biggest quarter, this is one of the best things you can do for yourself. It is so simple. It is one of the hardest things to do though. And it's such a duh thing. Of course, that's what I would do. But we make all sorts of excuses. I need it for this. What if this? What if that? Oh, last thing, another good thing to do is just communicate with your team or with your spouse or with your assistant. Hey, I have deep work blocks set in these times. I will not be available. This is the only way you can get to me if there's an emergency. Let those specific people know that. But communicate to everybody else who's not given that code to get through. I will be in deep work. I will not be getting a hold of you. I will check my messages when I'm done. You can even set up an automatic message, just like we can set up vacation messages for emails. You can set up automatic messages, like when you put your phone in drive mode. I am actually in a deep work pattern until such and such time. I will respond in my next opening for emails, or I will respond in my next opening for text, or what have you. So those are all ways that you can be very professional in the way you handle this and allow this tip to be one of the biggest boosts for you in this new quarter. Hope you take full advantage of it. When I changed this, it was life-changing for me and every one of my clients it's life-changing for. So simple. Get rid of the excuses. Just do it.